Welcome back. Last time we looked at the ruins of Kunark, and today we are going to head on over to the last continent of Norrath, the Scars of Velious. Of course, Velious gets its name as the Scars of Velious because the giant dragon Vishun raked its claws across the center of the continent here. There are actually 4 scars. The 4th one is filled with water. But today we will be taking a look at Eastern Velious, and we will get to Western Velious in the next video. Today we will start at the ice-clad ocean, and we will see the icy fingers. From there we will head on over to the eastern waste, see the location of Sleeper's Tomb, head up and see the Rygor Orc Fortress, and head down and see the Awakening Land, and probably finish up at the Great Divide. Well, here we are in the ice-clad ocean. This ocean is, of course, covered in ice, so it is therefore impassable unless you have an icebreaker ship, which the gnomes of Akanon happen to have one, and that is how they first discovered this continent. And we will head on over the cold waters down here. There's a cold water sea life down there. And we've got some broken ice along here. And it transitions into a solid ice pack the further south you go. But we are passing one of the outer frozen islands. I made some ice trees for this area. They're pine trees, except they're made of ice. Presumably they were flash frozen solid in some cataclysm long ago. As of course, that is the usual explanation for these things. Well, we will head on over the ice this way. I would just love to turn shaders on for this, but I've tried to do that a couple of times now, and it invariably crashes as soon as I try to move. So I think this terrain is just too complicated for shaders to handle, which is a shame. We're passing another frozen island. This is the tip of the Icy Fingers, which is the name of a series of broken islands off the shore of Velious. On one of these is going to be located the Tower of Frozen Shadow, which I'm not sure what I'm going to build that out of. I think a lot of obsidian and glass probably would be good for that. We will head on in, and I think this road here terminates in where the Tower of Frozen Shadow will eventually be. Right over here. But let's follow the road here. I have taken some time to draw in some roads on Velious. I was thinking at first maybe Velious shouldn't have any roads, but the more I thought about it, it's better to have them, so I've drawn them in. But there's going to need quite a lot of hand sculpting in various places where it tilts too much over here as it goes along the shore. I'm going to have to straighten that out by hand someday, whenever we get over to this. And as you'll notice, the mountains in Velious are made of diorite and regular stone and cobble, because it has a better contrast with the ice and snow. And here we are moving over one of the larger islands in the Icy Fingers. It is, of course, an ice plain, and there's been a road put on top of it. But as we leave the islands, we come and see the shore of Velious itself. The water has now completely frozen over down here. And we're still following the road, so there's going to be a couple of bridges going over that eventually. And straight ahead, we are entering the Eastern Wastes, is the name of the zone, and we're coming in on the southern part of the Eastern Wastes, which is going to be the location of Sleeper's Tomb. And underneath here somewhere, the giant prismatic dragon Terraform is kept asleep. kept asleep on purpose by 4 dragon warders that guard it, because legend says if he ever wakes up, the world will end, which is not good. So this little square thing down here is the zone entrance. The location of Sleeper's Tomb is going to be beneath this area here. And we have some ice crystal trees around here I can show you. And they've got icicle end rods on them. And they're made of glass and ice and everything. So at night, this area is going to light up. Some of it's also going to melt, apparently, because of some of the end rods on here. I've got to fix that. That's not good. But if we head back north from Sleeper's Tomb, we will go across another large ice plain, which will take us up to the road that leads to the giant city of Kale Drakale. We're now at the end of the ice plain, and we'll take the road this way that leads us over to Kale. However, we're going to continue going north and take a look at the location of the Rygor Orc Fortress instead, and we will swing back around to Kale. But here is the valley that leads into Kale Drakale itself. And I think if I just go a little bit further down, we will see the sheer cliff that it ends, and the city is just beyond that. And this here, of course, is the beginning of one of the Scars of Elias, as you can see here. That's why it cuts down into the terrain so much. Let us head north a bit. We have some more ice pines off in the distance. But if we go over the ridge this way, and follow the road on this way over the northern part of the eastern waste, which there's not much around here. That's why they're called the waste. We will see the beginnings of the Rygor Orc Fortress is around here somewhere. It's up here in these trees. And these, unlike the ice pines, are actual pines. They're like the ones we've seen in Hellas at the north, but down here at the south they're also present in rather large numbers. And I really like these trees with the snow sitting on them and everything. It's sort of like a nice quiet Siberian winter forest is the feel I went for with this. I think whenever we have the Norrathian Christmas special, we will have to come down to Velious and have that. But this big rectangle up here is the going to be the location of the Rygor Orc Fortress. You know, I really don't remember what that fortress looks like, but we'll build something. But this does mean that I think orcs are actually present on pretty much every continent. I don't remember one that they're not. But as we head south, we will take the road into the Great Divide here, through the Ice Pines Forest. Let's go down a little so you can get the full effect. As we go down the road here, I did want to put some lights inside these pines, but the ice would melt, and that wasn't going to be good. I think that's the wrong way. I think I missed the road. It's over here. That goes up into the mountains. It takes us to Thurkaden, but we're not going to Thurkaden today. And this is the cleft in the mountains with the road that takes us into the Great Divide. Now the Great Divide itself is sort of the name for the entire mountain region around here. They're called the Great Divide Mountains. But it's also a zone, and there is a small flat plain in the middle of them, right here, that is also called the Great Divide. And we have a frozen river cutting through the middle of it, and it goes underneath this mountain. There's a cave underneath there. And down here where I'm looking, this is going to be the location of the Velious wizard spires, which, as you've seen in the last video, are going to have functionality. You can press a button and teleport between all the wizard spires. You also be able to do that for the druid rings, the smaller wizard pyramids, and also the dragon rings. And the dragon rings, there are 4 of those, and they will be present on Velious as well to help you navigate around quickly. And this frozen river here actually ends in a waterfall over here as we come upon the Awakening Lands. Now the Awakening Lands exist in the deepest scar in Velious. It goes all the way down to bedrock pretty much. I think there's just a few blocks above that. I had to leave some so the trees would generate. But because it's so deep, it cuts into geothermal energy, which means there is heat down here, which means that this scar is actually green. It's the only lush, verdant and green part of Velious. Otherwise, it is all, generally speaking, a frozen wasteland. But let's cut down into it a little ways. Some of the roots stick out more than they should. I'm still working on getting the height of some of these trees right, like this one here. That needs fixing. But there are some roads that go through the Awakening Lands from side to side here. And let's fly this way and go up to Kale. We will take a look at that. And as you can see along here, it's bounded on both sides by high mountains, because this is very deep down in one of the scars here. And up here we have the wall of Kale Drakale itself, the city of the frost giants of Velious. This is their capital, and the heart of their realm is around here. Legend has it they're ruled over by a very evil vindicator. And there's a road network on top of the road wall here. And up here is the wall we took a peek at previously. And down here itself is going to be where we're going to build Kale Drakale itself someday. And there's quite a lot of space under these mountains, so we will have, I think, a lot of underground caverns and things cutting into it. This is the road leading into it, and it cuts through it and goes through the Awakening Lands and out through the other side of the Awakening Lands, out to the Eastern Wastes. And we can see some of the trees just popping up above that. But let's land down here and take a look at some of the topography we're going to have around here. But that's all the time we have for today. Join me next time, and we will look at the other half of Velious.